A purely competitive market has four characteristics. Characteristic number one, in a perfectly competitive market, there are enough buyers and sellers in the market that no single firm can influence the price. Characteristic number two, the products for all firms in a perfectly competitive market are largely the same. They are what is called homogeneous. Characteristic number three, firms in a perfectly competitive market can enter or exit the market freely. And characteristic number four, information about prices and products is freely available to all firms in a perfectly competitive market. Because no individual firm in this type of market can influence the price, they are what is called price takers. Firms in a perfectly competitive market are not powerful enough to influence price, which means that all firms must accept the price defined by the market. Thus, in a perfectly competitive market, all units are sold at the same price. Therefore, each unit adds the same amount to total revenue. That's why marginal revenue equals price. For all firms, profits are maximized when the marginal cost equals the marginal revenue. And because the marginal revenue is equal to price for the competitive firm, profits are maximized when marginal cost equals price. It is very important to know and understand that perfectly competitive firms earn no economic profit in the long run. Price comes directly from the market and gives the firm enough revenue from selling the product at the market price to cover all of its average total cost. The quantity in the market is the sum of all of the firm's quantities. Here, the quantity of the firm is shown and determined by the intersection of where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, which gives us the profit maximizing quantity. At this point, the firm shown is making normal profits, covering its implicit and explicit costs, but no more. Let us look at what happens when the demand curve shifts to the right. Market price and quantity have increased. The firm now has the new price from the market, and the quantity for the firm is also higher because the marginal revenue equals marginal cost quantity, where the quantity of the firm sub 2 has moved to the right. If the average total cost does not change, the firm now realizes an economic profit. Economic profit attracts new firms. New firms entering the market will cause the supply curve in the market to shift right. An increase in supply will cause a decrease in price. New firms will continue to enter the market until all the economic profits disappear, moving the firm into the long run. Starting from the long run equilibrium, if market demand decreased, price would fall for the perfectly competitive firm. This price would be below minimum average total cost, and the firm would incur a loss. Finding marginal revenue equals marginal cost would indicate the loss minimizing level of output. Economic theory tells us that in the short run, the firm cannot go out of business. It must continue paying its fixed costs. However, it can shut down and avoid paying its variable costs. To find out whether the firm should continue to operate or shut down, we compare marginal revenue to average variable cost. If marginal revenue or price equals the average variable cost, or if the marginal revenue is greater than the average variable cost, the firm will continue to operate as long as marginal revenue equals average variable cost. The firm is covering its variable costs and only losing its fixed costs, which it would lose anyway if it shut down. Now, if marginal revenue is greater than AVC, or the average variable cost, then the firm will cover its variable costs and have some revenue left over to apply to its fixed costs. A supply curve shows how much will be supplied at each price. It relates quantity to price. The marginal cost curve relates quantity to marginal cost. Thus, the supply curve and the marginal cost curve will follow the same line. So, under perfect competition, the firm's supply curve is entirely dependent on the cost of production. The firm will not produce at a price below average variable cost. Thus, the supply curve is only that portion above the point at which it intersects the average variable cost line. If the average total cost curve dips below the AR curve, or average revenue curve, then the firm will earn average profit. Profit can be measured by the vertical distance between AR and average total cost at quantity. If the average total cost curve were above the average revenue curve at all points, then the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue represents the loss minimizing point. A loss has occurred. Whether the firm is prepared to continue making a loss in the short run or whether it will close down immediately depends on whether it can cover its variable costs. Provided the price is above the average variable cost, the firm will still continue producing in the short run because it can pay its variable costs and go some way to paying its fixed cost. It will shut down in the short run only if the market price falls below the marginal cost equals the marginal revenue. Point A indicates where price equals the marginal cost. Where price is below the average variable cost, the firm should not produce and close. If the price rose, the firm would expand output so that again, price would equal marginal cost. At point B, where price equals the marginal cost sub 2, shows the shutdown position, which is the last level of production, Q sub 1, at which the firm should operate. Here the firm is only able to cover its variable costs. At point C, the firm is loss minimizing, where price equals the marginal cost sub 3. This firm would operate and produce the quantity sub 2 in the hopes of doing better in the near future. Cutting its costs or getting a higher price from the market will move this firm to a better position. And at point D, this is the break-even point, where price equals the marginal cost sub 4, to show that the firm's total costs are paid with a level of output at quantity sub 3. At price, where it equals marginal revenue sub 5, price is above the average total cost. The firm is earning economic profits, since this firm will produce at levels above where price equals the marginal revenue sub 2. Above minimum average variable cost, the firm's short-run supply curve is its marginal cost curve. Below minimum average variable cost, the firm will shut down. In the long run, some firms will exit the market. Existing firms would cause the market supply curve to shift to the left, raising price, which benefits the firms remaining in the market. The process would continue until price comes back up to minimum average total cost, the long-run equilibrium position. A perfectly competitive industry is a model for efficiency because perfectly competitive industries will automatically adjust supply to operate until price is equal to minimum average total cost, which means that over time, firms will always adjust their output to produce at minimum average total cost.